When I called to check on my daughter, who had gone missing, my granddaughter answered the phone, her voice trembling with urgency.
Daddy sank mommy in the bath and went somewhere,
she said, followed by shocking words. Rushing to my daughter's house, I was met with a terrifying scene. To subject my daughter to this, that man, I'll never forgive him. I gritted my teeth, determined to send my son-in-law to the depths of hell. It's almost Amy's 5th birthday. I wonder what would be a good present. I messaged my daughter, but 3 days passed with no response. Gazing at the family photo displayed in the living room, I wiped my tears. I wish I could see them more often. I wonder if those kids are doing okay? My name is Sarah. Widowed and living alone while working part-time. I have a daughter named Nancy. She has always been kind and studious since she was little, a proud daughter who landed a job at a major corporation. Nancy got married 6 years ago to Jason. He is an elite worker at a leading advertising agency. He was cheerful and dependable, and I felt reassured in trusting my daughter to him. They soon had a granddaughter, Amy, and Nancy quit her job to become a full-time homemaker. The distance between my house and my daughter's family home is about a 3-hour drive using the highway. It's not a distance you can just casually pop over to. Nancy used to visit frequently when Amy was little, but the last time she came to our house was a year ago, right after Amy's 4th birthday. I remember having this conversation with Nancy at that time. Is Jason doing well? Is he helping out with childcare? I asked. Nancy replied,
He seems busy with work lately, so I've been handling childcare mostly. But he loves Amy and takes good care of her. He's even known as the ideal hands-on dad at work.
I could imagine how busy Jason must be with his job. Make sure you support him, I said, to which Nancy just laughed and replied,
I know, Mom.
According to Nancy, Jason's reputation as an involved father had even reached his bosses, and he was put in charge of a major advertising project targeting parents. Well, that's impressive. Say, Nancy, now that things have settled down with raising Amy, how about returning to work? You used to shine in your career, I suggested.
Yeah, maybe eventually,
Nancy replied vaguely. I felt a slight unease at my daughter's ambiguous response, but whether she worked or not was a matter for their household. I decided not to intervene further. It's been over 6 months since then, and Nancy hasn't visited. I've tried inviting her a few times, but she always declines. I felt I shouldn't push too hard and interfere too much. One day, while I was unusually out in town for a class reunion, something caught my attention on my way back home. As I headed towards the station, I spotted my son-in-law, Jason, walking along with a young woman, engaged in what seemed like an intimate conversation. However, since he was dressed in a suit, I assumed it was probably a business outing or something and didn't approach them. After some time had passed since that incident, I had some errands that took me near my daughter's family's neighborhood. Wanting to see their faces since I was already nearby, I messaged, Can I come over now? But there was no response. Thinking it was okay if there wasn't one, I decided to head straight to my daughter's house. When I rang the doorbell, my daughter answered with a surprised voice.
Mom, why are you here?
I sent a message, didn't you see it? I came by since I was nearby. Is everything okay? Then my daughter fell silent on the other side of the intercom, and instead, I heard Jason's voice.
I'm sorry, mother-in-law. It's a bit messy here, but I'll clean up right away.
Jason, sorry for dropping by unannounced. We'll be waiting, I replied. After standing there for about 10 minutes, the front door opened, and when I saw Nancy standing there, I couldn't help but be taken aback. She looked so frail compared to the last time I saw her, it was like a lie. Nancy, you look much thinner. What's going on? I asked.
Just on a bit of a diet,
she replied. Then, my granddaughter Amy came running up, saying,
Grandma.
Jason warmly greeted me, so I exchanged pleasantries and went into the living room. While watching Amy play with her toys, the 3 adults engaged in small talk. Jason was as charming as ever, showing genuine concern for me, appearing flawless. At one point, Nancy got up to refill the tea. I followed her and asked, "Nancy, you look pale. Are you eating properly? Are you feeling unwell?"
No. I'm fine. I'm healthy.
She replied. Despite her words, I noticed something concerning her wrist as her sleeve slipped. I grabbed her arm and lifted her sleeve, revealing a painful-looking bruise. "Nancy, what happened?" Jason, who had somehow appeared at the entrance to the kitchen, interjected.
It's just a bruise from a fall. Nancy can be a bit clumsy sometimes.
"You fell. Is that true, Nancy?" I asked.
Yes, it's true. She stepped on one of Amy's toys and fell inside the house.
Nancy nodded in agreement with Jason's assertive tone, and then she distanced herself from me. The kitchen conversation ended there, but I began to observe Nancy and my granddaughter closely after that. Amy remained her usual cheerful and innocent self, but Nancy seemed somewhat withdrawn, appearing a bit tense.
Sarah, we have plans to go out as a family soon.
Jason said, prompting me to reply. Yes, it's about time for me to leave. On the way home, I sent Nancy a message, saying, "If anything is wrong, don't hesitate to talk to me." Her reply was,
There's nothing wrong. I'm happy, so don't worry.
Despite feeling an unsettling sense of unease, I returned home. 2 months have passed since I visited my daughter's family. I sent Nancy numerous messages, but received no reply, and she stopped answering my calls. She always responded to messages before. It's strange that the calls aren't going through. Are Nancy and Amy both okay? I want to see them and make sure. With these thoughts in mind, I decided to visit on a night when they were likely to be home. Sending Nancy a message saying, "I'm coming over now." I got into my car around 6 p.m. During a stop at a service area, I decided to call Nancy again. However, when the phone was answered, it was my granddaughter, Amy, on the other end.
Grandma? Mommy's turned a strange color and won't move.
Those words sent a shiver down my spine, but I tried to remain as calm as possible as I asked my granddaughter, "What are you saying, Amy? Is Daddy there?"
Daddy sank Mommy in the bath and went somewhere. What should we do, Grandma? Mommy isn't responding.
Hearing the urgency in her voice, I realized this was no ordinary situation and hurried to my granddaughter's side. An hour later, upon arriving at my daughter's house, I was speechless. Upon opening the front door, I was met with a horrifying scene. The house was in disarray, with items strewn about, vases and dishes shattered and left abandoned. It looked as though a burglar had broken in or someone had gone on a rampage.
Grandma, this way, quickly.
Startled by my granddaughter's call, I hurriedly followed her lead to the bathroom. There, my daughter, fully clothed, lay submerged in the bathtub, face up. "Nancy, stay with me." I frantically reached into the icy water, despite it being midwinter. Managing to lift her, my daughter's face was beyond pale, her lips tinged purple. Just as her face barely emerged from the water, there was a faint sign of breathing. Despite numerous attempts to rouse her, she remained unresponsive, prompting me to immediately dial 911. Before the ambulance arrived, my granddaughter rushed over to me, saying,
Mom said there's something important in her bag.
She pointed to a navy bag hanging on the living room wall. Upon a quick check, I found her insurance card in the wallet. Grabbing the bag, I boarded the ambulance upon its arrival. After arriving at the hospital, Nancy's treatment began immediately, while my granddaughter and I sat on chairs in the hallway. "Amy, is it true that Dad submerged Mom in the bathtub?" Amy nodded with a pale face.
Dad sometimes hits Mom and takes her to the bath. Amy is told to stay in the living room, but it's always scary. I feel sorry for Mom.
My granddaughter explained. "Amy." I instinctively hugged her, and she began to sob uncontrollably.
Dad said, if you tell anyone, you'll never see Mom again. Amy, because I told Grandma, will I never see Mom again? I don't want that.
I continued to comfort my granddaughter, rubbing her back and reassuring her. It's okay, it's okay. Then, the nurse informed me that Nancy had regained consciousness. Nancy, still groggy, weakly turned her gaze towards me.
Mom, please look at my navy bag. There.
With just those words, she drifted back to sleep. I carefully examined Nancy's bag once again, and to my horror, I found something unimaginable. Trembling, I confirmed what I found, gritting my teeth. To put my daughter through this. That man, I will never forgive him. At that moment, I resolved to send my son-in-law Jason straight to hell. Despite multiple attempts to call Jason, I couldn't reach him. So, I entrusted a trustworthy acquaintance nearby with something. 3 days after my daughter was taken to the hospital, I received a call from my son-in-law on my mobile phone.
I heard from a neighbor that Nancy was taken away in an ambulance. The woman with glasses who was with her. That's Sarah, right? Are you at the hospital now? Please tell me where you are.
I didn't disclose the hospital's location but instead instructed Jason to come to a cafe near the station. After leaving Amy with an acquaintance, I waited at the meeting place, where Jason arrived, breathing heavily.
Sarah, I'm sorry. I was away on a business trip, so I'm not sure what's going on. What happened to Nancy? Which hospital is she in? Please tell me quickly.
Jason spoke with genuine concern, but I wasn't fooled by his appearance anymore. I heard everything from Amy. You did something terrible to Nancy, submerged her in the bath, and left her, didn't you? How could you do such a thing? Jason murmured. Then awkwardly chuckled.
I can't believe it, Sarah. Did Amy really say that? Surely you're not taking a child's words at face value?
Are you suggesting Amy is lying? Jason explained.
Since she started kindergarten, she occasionally says things like that. It's like she has a vivid imagination or a habit of lying. We've been dealing with it too.
So, without saying a word, I played back the voice recorder I had taken out of my bag. What emanated from it was Jason's yelling.
Divorce. That insolent wife of mine. I have to teach you a lesson. I'll discipline you in the bath like usual.
His words were unbearable, filled with countless vulgarities. Afterwards, there were sounds of splashing water and Amy crying out recorded on it. As Jason paled, I stared straight at him and stopped the voice recorder.
What is this?
Jason stammered. Nancy was recording what happened that day. Perhaps she anticipated this, although she probably didn't expect to be taken to the hospital. I remarked.
She did that. How insolent.
Finally showing your true colors. I retorted. Jason wore a frustrated expression, but then quickly adopted a soothing tone.
Sarah, this is just a matter between spouses. It was just a heated argument at that time. No need to blow it out of proportion, right? It's also not good for Amy, you know?
The evidence doesn't stop here. There's more. With those words, I slammed down on the table the decisive photos of Jason's infidelity. They depicted him cozying up to a young woman, entering hotels together, and engaging in intimate moments. The woman was someone I had seen in the streets a few months ago.
This too, Nancy did this.
Jason hastily gathered the photos, and I calmly explained to him. Nancy had hired a private investigator to look into you. Is she someone from your company? And Nancy kept a diary too.
What?
In Nancy's diary that I read, it was written that Jason had been controlling, forbidding her from working since the beginning of their marriage. Furthermore, Nancy noted that Jason's behavior became strange around the time he became a project leader 1 year ago, and when she confronted him about it, she was physically assaulted for the first time. After that, she mentioned being subjected to severe treatment under the guise of discipline on a daily basis, and was warned that if she didn't comply, Amy would be harmed. Contact with me was also prohibited, and it seems her phone was checked daily. However, Nancy pretended to obey Jason while diligently collecting evidence for the divorce.
Now that I have gathered enough evidence, I will bring up the divorce today,
were the last words in my daughter's diary. You lost your temper when your wife asked for a divorce and did something terrible. Then you left her in the cold bath and went to see your mistress. Is that right? When I sternly confronted him, Jason remained calm and brazen.
I'm the elite among elites. People often say I'm the ideal dad. I provide for Nancy and Amy, and we have a happy family. Are you trying to ruin that over something trivial?
At that moment, I finally reached my limit. Nancy wasn't happy. And neither was Amy, who witnessed her mother being mistreated. I will not forgive you. You will pay for this. Jason then angrily shouted with a flushed face.
What can this old hag do to me?
I've already done what I could. I calmly replied, explaining to the bewildered Jason that I had sent the audio data from that night and evidence photos of his infidelity at work to his workplace.
What did you just say?
At that moment, Jason's phone rang, leaving him dumbfounded. As he answered the call in a panic, his face turned paler with each passing moment.
Hey, it was from my boss. They're removing me from the project. You really did it, didn't you? How dare you?
With his facade crumbling, Jason yelled at me with a contorted, ugly face. I remained composed and retrieved something from Nancy's bag. This is Nancy's decision. Please sign here. It was a divorce paper already signed by Nancy.
Don't mess with me. I'll never let them go.
Jason started tearing up the divorce paper with a flushed face, and I sighed. Then let's go to court. I'll make sure you'll be separated from my daughter. But before that, you'll have to pay for your sins.
What?
Right after you appeared at this cafe, I asked a friend to report it. The police will be here soon, so behave yourself. Jason turned pale and started trembling.
You're going to involve the police. Do you realize what that will do to my career?
I don't care. I'll never forgive you for what you've done. Never show yourself in front of me, Nancy, or Amy again. The police arrived, and Jason was taken away while shouting. Later, the divorce between the two was finalized. Jason was arrested for his cruel treatment towards Nancy. Along with my accusations, he was ultimately dismissed from his job due to being convicted. His mistress faced rumors at work and resigned. Although Jason's trial is ongoing, he has been cut off from his family and received no help from anyone. Nancy, now recovered, returned home with my granddaughter. Amy has regained her smile lately, and Nancy has found a job and is living a fulfilling life. We look forward to our granddaughter's growth and aim to support each other as a family from now on.
What? What is this? That's a gift from me. Huh? For me?
What's this, Mom? Were you planning a surprise for Hillary?
Hee, that's right. It's a special surprise gift. I felt happy and excited, eagerly opening the envelope. But what I saw inside made my eyes widen.
What's inside?
He asked me excitedly. Is this a divorce paper? As I said that, my husband looked at his mother in surprise.
Hey, Mom. What's the meaning of this?
Exactly what it means. Hillary, please separate from my son. My name is Hillary Ronson. I'm a 33-year-old office worker. My husband, Jordan, and I live together in a high-rise apartment in the city. We've been married for less than a year. As newlyweds, we've been having very enjoyable days, and we've never even had a fight. I met Jordan through work. I worked hard at a company after graduating from college. Gradually, I started to be recognized for my efforts, and I was appointed as a leader for a joint project at a certain company. That's when I started working with Jordan's team from the client side. Jordan, nice to work with you from now on.
Yes, likewise. Nice to meet you.
When we first met, he greeted me with a smile.
Boss, you seem nervous, and you're holding the documents upside down.
His subordinates pointed it out, and Jordan quickly.
Sorry about that.
And he hurriedly put the documents back in the right position. Then his team members laughed cheerfully. Jordan also joined in the laughter and said to us,
"We're always like this, so feel free to say anything."
His attitude of trying to build an equal relationship with his subordinates even though he was a department head left a strong impression on me. And his words were reassuring to me, who was more nervous than him deep down. It didn't take long for me to be attracted to him. Jordan, based on trust in his subordinates, avoided unnecessary interference but provided strong support when difficulties arose. And he let me take charge of things that needed to be taken care of, showing my devotion. His dedication to supporting each individual in the team and addressing individual challenges was admirable. Thanks to his support, the joint project ended very successfully. The distance between Jordan and me narrowed when we held a celebration party after the project ended. Everyone was in high spirits at the party because the project was successful. In the midst of that, a young employee who had had too much to drink started teasing Jordan.
"Jordan, isn't it time you found a girlfriend or a wife? It's a waste for someone as popular as you to not be married."
He replied jokingly,
"Here, have some water. Stop drinking for today."
Without forcing him, he offered a glass of water to the employee. I wondered if Jordan was also warm-hearted in his personal life, and I started to think,
"Well then, I'll take my leave here. Enjoy the second party without a boss."
Saying that, Jordan settled the bill smartly, handed cash to the young employees for the second party, and left the store. At that moment, one of the employees picked up a glove that had fallen on the floor.
"Huh. This is the boss's."
Oh. Then if I hurry, I might be able to catch up. I'll go deliver it. I made up my mind and tightly grasped the glove, then rushed to the station at full speed. I don't know if I became so proactive because of the alcohol or because I was eagerly awaiting the opportunity to be alone with Jordan, but I ran with my heart pounding. Jordan. Fortunately, I was able to find him.
"Huh. What's wrong? Didn't you join the second party?"
Actually, you forgot this. Saying that, I handed him the glove.
"Ah. My glove. Did you really come all the way here for this? You're really thoughtful. You could have given the glove to my subordinate and picked it up at the office on the next workday without any problem. But thank you. It was really helpful because it was so windy and cold."
He showed his gratitude. But for me, this was just an excuse. It's really nerve-wracking to say it directly, but I actually like you.
"Huh."
I gathered my courage and confessed my feelings to him. It was fortunate that there weren't many people around, but confessing love under the cold winter sky like this might have been a bit embarrassing. But at that moment, I just couldn't help but convey my feelings to him. Even if I were rejected, since the project was over, the next time I would see him would probably be for the final greetings. We might even end without seeing each other again. However, his reaction was unexpected.
"Really? If so, I'm very happy."
He said. Why yes, of course it's true. There's no falsehood in my feelings. Wait, did you just say you're happy?
"Yeah. If an old guy like me is okay, please go out with me."
Although my heart was about to dance with joy, I managed to keep my composure. I'm also not young, but I am happy to be with you. That's how our love began. We were in a position of clients, but I'm glad I gathered the courage. We decided to keep this relationship a secret. And about 6 months after we started dating, he proposed to me, and we decided to get married. Before we knew it, we had gone through the wedding, honeymoon, and moving, and here we are now. With a 5-year age difference and having grown up in completely different environments, Jordan and I lived together and were very happy. Perhaps it was thanks to his calm personality that we were able to have such a fulfilling newlywed life.
Hey, do you have plans on the 10th of next month?
While drinking beer after taking a bath, he asked me about my schedule. That's your birthday, right? Of course, I've kept it open.
Great. How about going to my parents' house together? You haven't been to my parents' house since we got married. I think it's a good opportunity.
Both he and I were extremely busy, and on top of that, I had been suffering from poor health recently, so I hadn't visited Jordan's parents' house since we got married. Yeah, I wanted to properly visit your parents' house once. I'm a little worried about getting on a plane while my condition is still not perfect, but I think I'll be fine by then.
Thanks. I think Mom will be happy too.
I'd be really happy if she were. Actually, I had an aversion to my husband's mother. This is because during the marriage greetings, she asked detailed questions about my past relationships and even my education. Although my husband tried to intervene, he couldn't completely stop her barrage of questions. It felt like an interview, and I felt like a college student job hunting. Furthermore, after marriage, she insisted I quit my job and become a housewife, but I couldn't imagine such a life, as my work was my purpose. Although my father-in-law was present and the main focus was on the marriage greetings, I managed to bluff my way through. But thinking about the continued pressure to quit my job in the future filled me with fear. I can understand her worries as a mother who loves her son, but I just couldn't accept her from the bottom of my heart. While I thought about changing this situation, I was really busy after marriage and never had the chance to visit his parents' home due to poor health. However, I might be able to build a good relationship with her starting with my husband's birthday. If I've decided on that, I should also choose a gift for my mother-in-law. Shouldn't we get something for your mother too?
Thank you for considering that. It really helps. I'll help you choose the gift.
Thinking my husband was reliable, I drank beer with him. After considering a few options, I decided to buy some sweets that his mother liked. They were from a famous shop where you had to line up, so I was sure she would like them. As I wrapped the gift, I imagined her happy face. Of course, this would only be the beginning, but I was starting to look forward to meeting her. Then, on my husband's birthday, we took a plane from the airport.
Are you feeling okay?
He was considerate of me. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
That's good. The weather is nice today, and there should be little turbulence, but let me know if anything happens.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'll sleep for now. Feeling reassured by his kindness and understanding, I fell asleep on the plane. And 2 hours later, our plane landed at our destination as scheduled. When we got out of the baggage claim with our suitcases, his mother was there.
Huh? Did Mom come to pick us up?
Jordan called out, and his mother turned around. Then, "Welcome back, Jordan," she said, embracing him tightly.
Huh? Hey, stop it. It's embarrassing in a public place like this.
Gently, my husband untangled himself from her arms.
You didn't have to come all the way to the airport. I would have preferred if you waited at home. Didn't I tell you on the phone?
Oh, what a nonsense. I just wanted to see my son's face as soon as possible. It's been a while since I've been to this airport, right? It just finished renovations and looks quite nice now.
Yeah, I was surprised. There are a few new shops too.
Exactly. Are you hungry? Have you had lunch? It seemed like my mother-in-law's gaze didn't include me at all. She was just talking to my husband. But I couldn't just back down now. I had resolved to improve my relationship with her on this visit. Hello, it's been a while. Summoning up my courage, I greeted her. Then, my mother-in-law's sharp gaze caught me. Oh my, Hillary, it's been quite a while, hasn't it? I almost forgot what you looked like. Her attitude was clearly cold. I apologize deeply for being late to visit you for so long. I apologized sincerely at first. It was entirely my fault for not visiting my in-laws. So, without making excuses, I bowed deeply. Then we went to my in-laws' house in a car driven by my mother-in-law.
Well, it's nice to see you both. Dad, it's been a while.
Nice to see you again. Unlike my mother-in-law, my father-in-law welcomed me warmly. And when we got to the living room, I handed my mother-in-law the gift. Please accept this if you'd like. Oh, what is it? It's sweets from a famous shop. Oh, really? It seemed my mother-in-law was interested in the sweets, as she stared into the paper bag. Thank you very much. I'll have them later. Saying so, she put the sweets in the refrigerator. I've prepared a lot of dishes today for Jordan's birthday. Could you help too? Yes, of course. I followed my mother-in-law's instructions, warming up the dishes and setting the table. During that time, I wasn't specifically told anything, but I think I was able to move as instructed.
Wow. All my favorite foods are here.
I worked hard on them. Please eat a lot.
Thanks, Mom. Jordan, happy birthday.
Father-in-law said as he presented a watch to my husband.
Huh. Isn't this the one I said I wanted a long time ago? You've worked hard as a respectable working adult, got married, and shown filial piety. So, it's a gift of gratitude. Thanks, Dad. I'll treasure it.
My husband was very happy, and I was too. Then, just as we were about to start the birthday celebration meal, my mother-in-law suddenly said, "Oh, I almost forgot." And she handed me an envelope. What? What is this? That's a gift from me. Huh? For me?
What's inside?
He asked me excitedly. Is this a divorce paper? As I said that, my husband looked at his mother in surprise. Father-in-law also looked surprised as he watched my mother-in-law, so it was probably something she decided on her own.
Hey, Mom. What's the meaning of this?
Exactly what it means. Hillary, please separate from my son. I stood frozen in shock, unable to even speak.
Hey. What's the meaning of this joke? Jordan and she seem to be living happily. That's right. We've only been married for less than a year. We're happily married, so why would you want us to divorce?
The father-in-law and husband raised their voices in protest to the mother-in-law. Then my husband took the divorce papers from my hand and returned them to my mother-in-law.
We don't need this. Just throw it away.
However, my mother-in-law was not the type to easily agree. Hillary, I'll give it to you again. Sign this. Once it's done, you can leave. And we'll celebrate Jordan's birthday with just the family. Faced with my mother-in-law's persistence, I gathered up the courage to ask a question. Could you please tell me the reason? Why are you so insistent on a divorce? My mother-in-law glared at me and said, Don't you understand the reason? Because you're not quitting your job and not having children. If you don't have a child by the end of this year, you won't be able to have one at all. And you don't even come to our house. You didn't come because you hated us, didn't you? No, that's not true. I couldn't come because of poor health. I explained like that, but it seemed my mother-in-law had already decided to kick me out. I realized it would be pointless to say more. Understood. Then I'll take my leave. Saying that, I put the divorce papers in my bag and stood up. And then Jordan stood up too.
I'm leaving too. I didn't expect my mother to do something like this. I'm really disappointed.
Saying that, he picked up his bag. Huh? There's no need for you to leave too. You came all the way home, so stay overnight.
How can I stay in this house when my beloved wife is being insulted?
You're being deceived. You'll end up unhappy. Listen to your parents. You should marry a younger, prettier woman who can have children right away.
Enough already. Don't disgrace us as parents anymore.
The father-in-law scolded the mother-in-law like that. You're really naive too. Do you not care if your son is unhappy?
Jordan decides everything, including whether he's happy or not. Happiness is something only the person themselves can decide.
Huh? I only care about my son's happiness as a mother. Saying that, my mother-in-law pouted.
Sorry, Jordan, Hillary, for this situation.
As we put on our shoes at the entrance, my father-in-law apologized like that. My father-in-law wasn't at fault, so I couldn't really accept the apology. And my husband also said,
If my mother is here, I won't come back to this house.
Saying that, he took me and left my in-laws' house. After that, we hailed a taxi and went to the airport to arrange for tickets to return home. While waiting for the plane at a cafe, my husband's phone received a call from my mother-in-law, who kept persistently calling despite being ignored multiple times, so my husband reluctantly answered the phone.
Hello, is there something else?
Wait. Did I hear it right? Hillary, are you pregnant?
Did you hear from Dad just now? Yes, Hillary is pregnant.
Why didn't you tell me sooner?
We were going to tell you, but when you suddenly did what you did, we decided not to. But in the end, there's no need to tell you now.
Huh? Why?
Because we're cutting ties with you. Even if a child is born, we'll only let Dad see them. We don't want to see you anymore, forcing a divorce like this.
That's. I thought you weren't going to have children, so I pushed for the divorce.
It's strange to take such actions. Even if we forgive you now, you'll probably find another reason to harass Hillary, right?
I wouldn't do such a thing.
I can't trust you anymore. I value Hillary the most. That's why we're cutting ties with you.
Wait, Jordan, please. I could hear my mother-in-law crying. She seemed quite desperate. But it's her own fault. I never want to see my mother-in-law again. And then, my husband hung up the phone without a word and blocked his mother's number. By the way, it seems my father-in-law also had enough of my mother-in-law. Afterwards, he handed her divorce papers and kicked her out. It's really ridiculous that the mother-in-law who tried to divorce me ended up getting divorced herself. Several months later, I safely gave birth to a baby. My husband and I went to see my father-in-law with calm hearts. My father-in-law was very happy, playing with his grandchild. We decided to visit my in-laws regularly to show our child to them. By the way, my mother-in-law is currently living alone in a shabby apartment, working part-time. If she had been kinder to me, she could have lived comfortably in their spacious house. But she's really beyond help. It's all her own fault. Forgetting about my mother-in-law, I want to continue living happily with my husband and focus on raising our child together. Thank you for watching until the end. If you liked it, please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.